Mark,
Hey, Paul.
you shouldn't be surprised. You should be relaxed. You're back from vacation, right? You've had a full week to relax.
Yeah, yeah, a whole 10 days of running around with three children and
Oh yeah,
relatives. Yeah,
when you put it that
relax.
way, relax. um, we got more Absolute Power tie-ins this week. Two good ones. We'll take a look at them right after this. Stop. Before you go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Leave us a comment, and don't forget to hit that like button before you leave. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm gods. We are full bore now into Absolute Power. Um, we there were no Absolute Power proper issues, but we did get two tie-in issues that you can see on the thumbnails behind me. We got Superman and we got Wonder Woman. Each of them will tie in for three issues. But let's start with Superman. And all I can say is Jamal Campbell is back.
He's back. And
He's
it
back.
was a treat when you slide into them pages and you're like, okay, the Man of Steel has returned in proper glory.
Yes, but you also there's another character besides Superman that is important to this issue as well. There is Zatanna. There also is something that Batman has. There a kind of a tangent thing. It's something that he trains Zatanna on. So, and there are lots of other heroes that appear in this issue as well. So, but we actually kind of start with a flashback to when Clark was young, and he basically every kid's done this, right? They want to put on a show for their parents, right?
A
Um,
magic show. We're magicians
Exactly,
as
a
kids.
magic show, right? So he wants to put on a magic show. Unfortunately, his magic is not very good. He doesn't guess the right card.
He doesn't.
No.
But it was really just a little scene to set the stage, just to remind us how wholesome Superman is and to show the little magic because it'll be coming into play later. But the real issue really starts out with Superman with the gunshot wounds in his chest from where he got shot at the beginning of this whole event, with Mr. Terrific and Dr. Midnight doing surgery on him, kind of wondering what they're going to do, admitting that they don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to Kryptonians, and they only hope that his powers don't kick back in the middle of this operation and then become unable to help him.
Yes. So we see them furiously working over him, and then we actually kind of switch to see with there's some narration with we see Amanda Waller, we see an Amazo, but we're actually focused more on Zatanna actually at this part of the issue.
Yeah, we see the a Waller. We see what the world looks like at this point. There's a curfew in play. You have a Mazos patrolling the sky. You have her army on the ground, making sure that the curfew is followed. And you see a cloaked figure walking the streets who gets addressed by the patrols, and they recognize her immediately as Zatanna, and says, "Oh yeah, you have no powers at this point. It'll be easy bringing you in. Let's go." And it
Right.
flashes back, and Zatanna remembers some time that she spent with Bruce Wayne or Batman, and how a magician has to rely more on your actual tricks. You have to have more things in your repertoire, and Batman has taught her a few more things.
Yes. So she manages to escape, we assume. But then we flash forward to the Fortress of Solitude, where we see some dialogue going on between Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Red Tornado. And Red Tornado is basically a little bit pissed off. Um,
Yeah,
because Blue
this was
Beetle has basically said, you know what, robots are a big problem right now.
for of all people, Ted Cord to be the one that's irrational about mechanics just didn't make sense for me. Like,
Right.
not one bit. But you get a little bit of cheesy dialogue just to show the unrest in the heroes, and a little bit of jokes. And about the time Superman wakes up and comes in and stops it, rocking the Return of Superman black suit, which was fantastic to see.
Correct. So he comes in. Lena, basically, he has a discussion with Lena, who basically apologizes to him because she was not able to keep Kara and John and everyone else from being captured. And he basically says, you know what, it's all right. We're all reeling from the attack. We have. Sorry, it was Mercy, not Lena. It was Mercy. Um, um, and basically, what you've done so far has really actually kind of helped me. And then that's when we see Zatanna come back again.
Yeah, come back in and say that we do have an opportunity. We can do something different. There is this passageway that my dad used to call the dark roads, that they're invisible to nearly everyone and you don't have to have magic to traverse them. So they're tapping into typically unused resources and kind of like a place between life and death. And she even points out that Superman might be more attuned to access these dark roads because he himself has died previously.
Correct. And then we flash forward to basically this is where we get Lena and Lex and everyone in their. You're looking at me like
Supercore?
Yeah, Supercore.
Supercore?
Yeah, we flash to Supercore, the ruins of what's left of Supercore. And as they are there, what happens, of course, who shows up? Peacemaker shows up with his group, basically saying, "I can't believe how stupid you are to come back here."
Yeah, we have a group of refugees, if you will. We have Lex, who has no memory of himself before the House of Brainiac.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jimmy and Banshee. Banshee, who is now depowered, speaking about how it feels like an actual piece of her is gone because without her power, she hasn't even experienced her senses in the world without that extra bit. So everything's off. And so Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker walk in, getting ready to just execute them all happily. And that's when some help arrives and everyone starts getting zapped. And you see Lois rocking a Supercore Iron Man-esque armor.
Right, and that's where the issue ends, basically. If you've read the newest solicitations coming forward, or if you have actually watched any of the All In from Joshua Williamson, he talks about Superwoman and who the identity may be. I think this may be who our Superwoman is. So my guess is that Lois is going to be the Superwoman. But yeah, it was really good.
Too easy. I think that's way too easy. Oh yeah.
Well, who else? Who would be some other candidates for that?
I don't think I'm betting on a new character altogether.
Okay. Well, then we obviously wouldn't be able to guess identity if we've never seen them before. But,
no, we wouldn't. But that's what I'm guessing.
Right.
I like to. I'm locked in on the wrong answer. Let's go.
I'm going with it till I die. Great issue. I loved it. I know you loved it because Zatanna was in the issue the entire time. Didn't say anything backwards.
No, only one. No, nothing backwards. Yeah, one line backwards. I thought it was.
The only thing that to me, and this is not it's not so much a criticism as a little bit of an annoyance with the thing is that when you put this in line with the other stories that have come up, like in Batman, in the backup Batman story, we've already been past this. We've seen, we were past where Superman got shot. So I think there's going to be a little bit of jumping around between the different things, and that can be a little bit unsettling if you're trying to read them, so you have things coming in order at you. But it does make sense, obviously, in the Superman one, you want to deal with from when he got shot, in the first issue to where they are now. So.
Absolutely, and they address that in the Wonder Woman issue as well.
Right.
So diving into Wonder Woman, it starts at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C., of all places, where you have the Justice League Dark and the Captain Marvel family and Wonder Woman, the DC magic heroes, pretty much sitting around a table playing Go Fish. But you get an editorial note right at the beginning that says this issue takes place during the events of Absolute Power, issue number 1. So we're going right back to the Blitzkrieg issue where everything popped off and where were these characters when it all started. And they were at the Watergate kind of chilling their heels, just talking and bantering because of the state of affairs and what's going on with Wonder Woman and everything associated with that.
Right. The Watergate Hotel, because really, what are the odds of it getting broken into twice?
Not twice. Yeah.
So the art here is by Tony Daniel, which is amazing as well. Daniel Sampere was doing it. Obviously, he'll be back, but this 3-issue tie-in is going to be done by Tony Daniel, and it's good to see the Justice League Dark back again. So they're sitting.
I just want to throw this out there. Merlin is still somewhere out there having an all-out onslaught on all things magic.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League Dark tried to stop him and failed. Remember that. I'm going to bring that up when I see these people every time. He's still out there. That story must be revisited at some point.
Yes, absolutely. As well as who else? Rick Flag.
Oh, yeah. Rick Flag and his whole team are out there.
Right.
I'm not letting these plot points die. We're not going to happen. We need Rick Flag back. And all things considered, I'm sure DC is being very strategic about that character, wanting to bring him back and get him in the limelight so that it gets him they'd like to do the dual traction with the live action properties as well as stuff.
Yep. So they're playing cards. They start with some things. John Constantine does some things. He tries to he's being his usual, annoying self to everyone. And it's funny because you see him in front of a window, and you see outside the window, you can see the Amazo coming at him, and then suddenly, obviously, he pushes through. And we know from Absolute Power number one that all this Amazo has to do is touch someone with magic, and their magic disappears. We'll see more of
Mhm.
that in a second here. But they basically come through. The Amazo grabs John Constantine, starts speaking in very Gothic Victorian type, poetic type language, um,
Yeah,
and
never really addressing anything anyone's saying to the Amazo, just reciting, reciting, reciting all through this onslaught.
right. And so then we see basically Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, Mary Marvel. Sorry, the Captain, Mary Marvel, Spectre,
Spectre, Madame Xanadu,
Madame Xanadu.
Bobo.
Exactly, Detective Chimp, all there, getting ready to fight against this Amazo, who is Paradise Lost. That's the name of this Amazo,
Which is actually
and
a reveal later in this, which I thought was interesting. This whole time through this fight, I'm trying to find clues on which Amazo this is based on the color scheme. You have a red top, silver body, and green pants. I'm like, is this supposed to be our Aquaman one? Is this a Martian Manhunter one? But we actually see how they get the definitive look of the other heroes in this issue.
yes, and we'll get to that in just a second. So the fight goes on between Captain Marvel and Amazo, and then Spectre stands up and comes in, and before he can basically take care of him, Wonder Woman realizes what's happening. That is that as soon as he touches someone, they lose their powers. Unfortunately, it's too late for the Spectre. The entire time this is going on, we keep doing little asides to Detective Chimp, who's trying to figure out exactly, why this, what is it that's so special about this Amazo and the way that he's speaking.
In the meantime, Mary Marvel comes in, swoops
Mhm.
it off the Spectre, gets ready to ground and pound it, and Wonder Woman figures out the no touching thing, so lassos Mary and rips her away at the last second.
Right. Um,
So the
and
Amazo goes
right,
out for the
right,
long shot, does
right,
a energy projection made of green. The construct reaches out, grabs Xanadu, depowers her, and the fight continues.
right. So that's him, I think, using the Spectre's power with the
Yeah, I guess
hand.
so. It definitely looks like a construct, but then when you look at like the consistency of it and stuff,
Right, right. And he had just finished touching the
mm-hmm.
Spectre too, so kind of makes sense. So the battle goes on. Wonder Woman throws her tiara at him. They manage to basically pin him to the ground for a second, but not. But then he comes back and fires this amazing. Again, maybe this fire is the wrath of God. This fire, wrath of God, at him at Wonder Woman. She falls to the ground, and uh, we then get a final battle between Amazo and the two Marvel, Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel. He touches Captain Marvel just at the time that he is just about to say Shazam. Billy is now laying on the ground.
Yeah, he figured if he depowered, he wouldn't be able to drain the power. So he said Shazam right in the moment that he got touched, which we learned about that in last week's Task Force 7 when they were being chased, that they had minimal power. So we're going back to the fight and seeing how that happens. Meanwhile, while they're all on the ground fried, he depowers Bobo, depowers Wonder Woman. And by depowering Wonder Woman, it actually updated the armor. You see the armor start
Mm-hmm.
transforming and take on the style and the look of Wonder Woman, revealing that it's Paradise Lost for sure, for sure.
Right.
And Bobo jumps on him screaming no, and he slams Bobo down, and that's pretty much it.
Right. With a promise to be continued in Task Force 7 number one, which we already had, and Absolute Power number two, which is coming out soon. The backup story had nothing to do with Absolute Power. It's another one of the Trinity stories that Tom King has said that he loves writing. So,
He needs to stop.
wow, it's got to be bad if Mark's telling Tom King to stop something.
Well, it's not that it's bad. It's just I don't care.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about We talked about this with Batman, how a lot of times in these events, these tie-ins really don't offer anything new or anything of any really kind of substance to the main series. I think so far of the three that we've had, Batman and Wonder Woman and actually Green Lantern too,
Green Lantern.
Lantern, and Wonder Woman and now Superman, they've offered huge parts to the story.
Yes,
Um,
filling in massive, massive moments from issue one. Like issue one of the event already felt pretty big. And
mhm,
being that we have to cover so many different characters in so many different places, you kind of peek in on those battles throughout issue one. Now we're seeing them completely play out. Like it's
mhm,
one of those things, if you were curious about what happened with the character that I really liked during those moments, other than just knowing that character was in a fight, if you pull their books, you're going to find out. You're going to be rewarded as an already subscriber to that title kind of thing, which is really great formatting.
Yeah, it really is, and it lends so much to the overall story. So these are definitely not throwaways to the main story. So um, if you're already following Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and Green Lantern and Green Arrow, whatever, you're enjoying them, I'm sure. But if you're just grabbing Absolute Power, you definitely would be satisfied, I think, to grab these tie-ins as well so far. So. Um,
And man, they look pretty with those borders and stuff. Like
yeah,
they
the
match up.
gold and the silver around them, don't they look great?
Yeah, they match up the event trade dress with whatever color theme scheme is happening on the book. Like with the
Hmm.
lasso, so it's silver and gold,
Hmm.
and then this one's silver and that burgundy reddish. It's just they're clean looking, they're crisp.
Yeah, and the whole thing, like you say, it kind of frames it, with
Mm-hmm.
the border all the way around. So
Frames look
yeah,
good.
I'm really liking this. Um, but that's going to be it. This week we have, oh man, what do we have? We have Green Arrow, we have
Amanda
Absolute.
Waller origin.
Yeah, and then we have Task Force 7 number 2. So 3 issues coming out this week. So we'll look forward to talking about those next week. Don't forget, coming up soon is our 100th episode. We'll talk about that probably on our next episode, and tell you exactly when, where, how, what, and all those other journalistic questions you may have.
All the W
Um,
words you can think of.
exactly. But that's going to be it. So I'm say as of right now, as of always, I'm Paul. He is Mark.
We are Legion.
And you're now leaving Sector 2815.